Today, it's front-end upgrades on our low-buck street truck.
Upgrade.
Then we're showing you how to stop rust in its tracks. And finally, moving the tailgate handle from the outside to the inside. It's all today here on Truck Tech.
Hey guys, thanks for watching Truck Tech. Well, today we're back on our 1993 full-size two-wheel drive short bed pickup that we're calling our low-buck street truck. And so far, we think we've made a dramatic difference in the appearance of this truck with an aggressive drop kit, brand new wheels and tires, and a cool, sexy cowl induction hood. Now, since you've seen it, we've filled in a couple of the pop knots down the side, as well as wiped some filler on the replaced cab corners and rocker panels. And that sets it up for a nice coat of paint with some primer surfacer and a couple hundred hours of blocking. But one of the things that we're going to do today is take care of the looks of this nasty front end.
Now, the front end's in decent shape. It's not broken or missing anything, but the chrome is peeling, the emblem's missing, the headlights are all fogged up and cloudy, the bumper's got about 24 holes in it from the removed impact strip. It's dented and misaligned. Generally, the front end of this truck looks like it's got 250,000 miles on it, and that's something we want to change. So today, we're going to give this thing a little bit of a catalog facelift.
Now, the front end upgrade comes to us courtesy of LMC Truck and consists of a brand new textured black lower valance that's going to stay like that, as well as a painted steel bumper without the impact strip that's really going to clean up the front end of this truck. Now, those of you Chevy guys that have a keen eye, well, you've already noticed that this is an updated, newer year model grille. And we're going to leave it like that and have a monochromatic look and give us a custom effect without having to do a bunch of custom body work on the fenders. So the point is, with LMC Truck, you've got all kinds of options when it comes to styling.
Now, to complement our new grille, we picked up some new lights. These are new high and low beam assemblies, new marker light or parking light assemblies. We picked up a bunch of new bulbs and some new corner markers or reflectors. Now, even though Kevin said we were going to go with a monochromatic look on this truck, we are going to keep a little bit of chrome in the form of this brand new bow tie emblem. And since we're working on a sport truck, well, it makes sense that we go with some sport mirrors. That ought to look a little bit more at home on this truck than these chromed and dented up OE mirrors.
When you're taking stuff apart, it really pays dividends to keep track of your fasteners. Keep them in organized piles because you're probably going to have to reuse some later. There's subtle differences between these two grills, and we're going to need to borrow bits and pieces as we reassemble with the new parts. Replacing the headlights with the new ones from LMC is as much aesthetic as it is a safety upgrade, and we're going to gain a bunch of lumens back to be able to see at night.
Now, if these bumper brackets weren't tweaked a little bit, we could go ahead and start reinstalling our new parts. But the old bumper was misaligned and beat up a little bit, so I'm going to go ahead and loosen up these bracket mounting bolts, install the new bumper and all the grill, make sure everything's lined up and where we want it. Then we can tighten things down and everything will be lined up. All right, that's good for now. Now, like we told you, we're not reusing the bumper or the air dam, but we are going to reuse some of the hardware. Most of it was in good shape, but a few pieces were a little too rusted or corroded for reuse. Luckily, Industrial Depot keeps us pretty well stocked with replacement hardware. Assembly, obviously pretty straightforward, but we are using a light clutch setting on our electric drill so we don't crush the plastic as we tighten the bolts down. Too much pressure or torque can cause the plastic to split and ruin your day. Now, on the bumper itself, we're replacing all the hardware, all 8 bolts, with a hardware kit that we picked up with the bumper from LMC Truck. Now, what I'm doing is going ahead and tightening down all 8 bolts on the bumper and leaving the bumper brackets loose until everything gets lined up and we can tighten the brackets down and be in good shape. That'll be good for now.
When you're doing a simple swap out like this, it's a good idea to have one beside the other. The old grill beside the new grill in this case. So that way, you can take the lights individually and swap them over, saving all your hardware. These fasteners, commonly known as speed nuts, are specifically sized for the pegs on these marker lights, which incidentally are a different shape and size on the grill, and the newer ones, well, they just flat out look better. The hardware goes on the same way, but take a little care tightening them up. Don't over tighten them because you're cutting threads as you tighten them down. Just use a little bit of finesse and snug them. The lower filler panel is specific to the newer grill. We could not reuse the other one. There we go. So LMC helped us out again and shipped us this one that matches the grill. It just clips into place and stays that way, being installed as an assembly. The super sexy bow tie, well, it goes away in favor of the brand new super sexier bow tie that's chrome, which will probably be the only piece of chrome in the whole vehicle, so it doesn't look gaudy, and it still might get us home. Much better. Yeah, I like it. Keep in mind, just because your headlights are brand new doesn't mean they're aimed properly. They're aimed to fit inside the box. That's about it. But here's a tip to get you close so you're not illegal or blinding oncoming traffic. Just turn the lights off in the garage, turn your headlights on, and aim them against the door or the wall. And that'll get you close, or at least in the ballpark to where you can see at night. From there, if you need to, you can go to a qualified or certified service center and they can finish the job for you. Upgrade.
Up next, it's how to remove and prevent rust, and later, moving the tailgate handle to inside the bed.
Hey, welcome back to Truck Tech. Well, as you guys know, rust can present itself in many different ways. The rust in the cab corners and the rocker panels that we've already cut out and replaced with good metal, well, it manifests from the backside and rusts through the sheet metal, presents itself in the forms of bubbles and holes. The other way rust manifests on a vehicle, especially with original paint, is from the top down, by the clear coat coming off and exposing unprotected base coats, sealers, and finally the metal to where it oxidizes and succumbs to the elements. So we're going to show you how to fix this type of surface rust. So how does surface rust happen out in the middle of a panel from the top down? Well, let me show you. This tells the forensic story, believe it or not. Right here, you have clear coat. This is original paint, so it's a base coat clear coat system from the factory. You've got clear coat here. The white area around here is the clear coat that's weak and has been damaged by the sun and is flaking off. Flaking off to the point to where the base color has no UV protection and flakes off again to the gray sealer underneath the base color, which eventually will succumb to the effect of UV rays and expose the steel, eventually ending up just like this, where the sheet metal rusts from the top down. But if you catch it soon enough, you don't have to replace this panel. Now, your knee-jerk reaction might be that, well, since you can scrape the top of the rust off, might as well just sand it off. Here's the problem with that. The rust kills the pad to where it's now almost ineffective against the rest of the paint. So you're going to go through an entire roll of 80 grit pads on a DA while you're trying to knock this surface rust down. But there's better ways to do that. Check these tools out. I've got wire brushes, both manual and on a pneumatic rotary tool. This nylon bristle disc is very effective against surface rust as well as mill scale, and we've got these stripping discs, both one that fits into a Jacob's chuck on a drill and one that goes onto an angle grinder. I like these a lot because it's not a flat contact patch and it's going to keep your surface area cool, which is very important in a large piece of sheet metal like this. I don't want warpage, and it constantly renews the sharp edges as it wears down. So this, in my opinion, is one of the best ways to get rid of surface rust. This guy is an 80 grit rotary tool. This is a monster. And although it's not going to work great on the surface rust because it's going to kill that pad, like I said, on this painted surface, we're going to go to town with that until we get rid of the rust. Oh, and by the way, if you're dancing around back here with the bed of your truck off, please keep in mind that this, well, these tubes and these return and send lines for fuel are easy to break and they're expensive to replace. Ask me how I know. Protect this stuff.
So with a wood platform to stand on protecting the fuel sending unit, Kevin can get to work removing the surface rust. Now he's just letting the weight of the tool press down on the stripping disc. He's not pushing down on it, introducing heat into the thin and flat sheet metal. And notice that he's focusing on the rusted areas only. For the painted surfaces, he'll go back and sand that down with an 80 grit sanding disc. And you never know, once you remove the rust, what you'll find.
Found a dent. Right there.
Now, using an 8-inch rotary sander and that 80 grit disc, Kevin can finish off the rest of the roof. And notice that he's using light pressure, not just to minimize heat input onto the sheet metal, but it also makes the pad last longer. And remember, whenever you're sanding next to rubber trim that's not going to get replaced, make sure you heed Kevin's poorly spelled windshield warning and be careful. It'll only take a second for that rotary sander to mess up the rubber trim.
Cool. Okay, now this may be hard to see. From a distance, it looks like clean, bare steel. But these dark spots in here, that is still iron oxide. That's still rust in the pores of the steel. And if you prime over top of that, it's going to come back through your paint. So here's what to do. There's a lot of different rust converters out there, but the one that's on our shelves is Loctite's Extend, which converts the rust and stops the oxidation.
When we come back, we'll flip the tailgate handle to the other side.
Hey guys, welcome back to Truck Tech. Well, with the front end of the truck facelifted and with the surface rust taken care of on the roof, we've got a little bit of work to do to this tailgate. Now, it's not something we have to do, it's something that we want to do. Now, the last time you guys saw this thing, we pulled the Chevrolet emblem off the back and it revealed a little bit of a mess. But before we get to work blocking and filling and sanding and all that bodywork nonsense, well, we're going to do a fun little project. And that's just relocate this tailgate handle from the outside to the inside. Now, after getting the plastic tailgate cover out of the way, we can get to work removing the latch, which is pretty straightforward. 3 bolts hold it in from the back side. Then you can disconnect the rods that work the actual tailgate latch and remove them. Now, make sure not to break these plastic clips, they get reused.
This kit comes with a handle bracket, a support plate, as well as a filler plate for the front side, which we'll show you later. Assembly is very straightforward, but mock-up is necessary in order to realign your rods and the clips to go in them. Now, this kit comes from LMC Truck and doesn't reinvent the latch, it just flips it over. It's pretty cool. The support bracket is necessary to add rigidity to the handle. If that support bracket wasn't there, the handle might flex and be prone to fatigue and eventually breaking.
Now, these plastic clips we told you about earlier, they get flipped over to the other side of the latch assembly. That way the link rods can stay in their current orientation and everything will work correctly. Now, these do have a few years on them, so be careful when handling them. You don't want to break them. Now, the tailgate handle gets relocated to the inside of the tailgate, and it needs to be centered. Now, the kit also includes a template to line up with the new center mark to locate the outer edges of the hole to be cut. We're using a punch to mark the corners and a silver marker to connect the dots. And with our sheet metal square out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and dress the edges to remove any razor sharp burrs. Nobody likes stitches. Then we can test fit our tailgate handle relocation panel and mark the holes for the screws that hold it down. Now, don't get tempted to weld this panel in place. If you do, you won't have access to the link rods or any of the mechanism. If it breaks, you're screwed. Now, with the new handle screwed into the back side of the tailgate, we can reattach the link rods that operate the latches. And like we've stressed before, these plastic clips are old, so be careful. It may take some needle nose pliers and a little bit of patience to get the job done, but a little care now might save you scrambling for a replacement later. All right. Once you verify that your latch is working correctly, we can weld in the supplied cover plate. Just grind off the paint, make a few tack welds, a little bit of grinding, and some of that body work that everybody loves. You'll be done. Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. Well, we've just about worked our way through our pile of parts, but we do have one little project left, and that's swapping out these original mirrors with something a little bit sleeker. Pretty easy.
Go on there a little bit. All right, that should do it. Thanks.
All right, now with the door panel removed, what you're after is the nuts that attach to the 3 mounting studs that hold the mirror to the door. Pretty straightforward.
These mirrors were actually designed for a newer model truck, but these doors are stamped the same for so many years that they will fit. Be careful not to lose your fasteners. There's an internal brace at the front of that door that will keep those nuts and your tools forever.
Done. You know, rumor has it, objects in the mirror are closer than they appear.
Now, if you step back and take a look at some of the improvements that we've made, well, it really is an upgrade if you think about it. The cowl induction hood, the smooth bumper, and the updated, newer style grille, along with some custom lights. And the beauty of it all is that it's DIY stuff. It's a bolt-on project. If you've ever questioned what a few bucks worth of bolt-on parts can do to make a dramatic difference in your truck, well, just take a look at the mirrors.
Now, what we did back here wasn't necessarily bolt-in, but it is a DIY project if you've got access to a welder and don't mind doing a little bit of paint and body work. Now, the smooth tailgate blends in great with our roll pan, just makes the back of the truck look nice and clean. Now, it's not just for aesthetics. If you've got a locking tonneau cover, well, flipping the tailgate latch to the inside can also be a theft deterrent as well.
If you've ever found yourself in the situation where you've got an oddball fastener that you can't turn because you don't have the right socket for, or a rounded off bolt head, well, you might want to check out these Pro Non-Slip sockets from Matco Tools. The unique non-slip design works with and even protects a variety of different bolt types with the same socket, including 4-point pipe plugs like this one that are square drive, 12-point, broken down, worn out 12 points, even 6 points, and more importantly, rounded off, worn out 6-point bolts with the same socket. They also work on Torx fasteners and are a true chrome moly socket designed for constant impact use. Pretty handy to have around.
Hey guys, if you're trying to keep some of your exhaust system heat off of vital components like fuel lines, brake lines, fuel tanks, or anything else you don't want heat soaked, well, check out the titanium pipe shield from DEI. Now, this heat shield is capable of withstanding up to 1,350 degrees. Now, they're 6 inches wide and they come in 1, 2, or 3 foot lengths. And with the riveted standoffs and their hose clamps, well, it provides the necessary air gap for proper heat dissipation. And for smaller jobs, they also have their titanium protective sleeve for things like spark plug wires. So if you're trying to solve a heat problem on your vehicle, check out DEI Performance Products.
If you want to make a visual impact when you pop the hood of your car at the same time as increasing performance, check out Edelbrock's ProFlow washable air filters. They come in a variety of different colors so you can match the accents under hood or to the vehicle's color itself. There's a huge amount of filter area, including an internal conical passage for increased airflow, and they ship with several different adapters to match up with whatever air inlet size tube that you have. But the cool thing is that with the ProCharge strip, you can actually tell when the filter's loaded and needs to be cleaned. So you can pick up the ProFlow universal air filter that suits your car best wherever Edelbrock products are sold. Thanks for watching Truck Tech. Talk to you guys soon.